אני נתקלתי באינסטגרם באפליקציה מאוד מגניבה שנקראת Wastehunters. זאת אפליקציה שבה אתם אוספים זבל, אתם מדווחים באפליקציה איזה זבל אספתם, ואז זה נותן לכם מפה של איפה הלכתם, כמה זמן עשיתם ומה אספתם. יש לכם טבלות לדירוג מי אסף יותר, מי אסף פחות, וזה ממש מגניב. למשל, אני כרגע הראשון בישראל. הדבר הכי טוב שאתם יכולים לעשות באפליקציה הזאת זה לשתף את זה. טוב, בואו נעשה לכם הדגמה על האפליקציה. בואו נראה מה מצאנו. הופ, טל סיגריה. ממשיכים ללכת. מחפשים כל מיני. עוד טל סיגריה. והנה כוס פלסטיק. מסמנים כוס פלסטיק. בקבוק. פלסטיק בטה. הופה. עכשיו אחרי שסיימנו. עושים, ואז אפשר לראות. מה אספנו ואיפה הלכנו וכמה דקות. וזה ממש מגניב, כמובן אפשר לשתף את זה. וזה מעולה. ואני רוצה להזמין אתכם לראיון עם ממציא האפליקציה, ראיון באנגלית, אז סליחה מראש.
So I was living in London until last year. And then actually the background for the app is actually that my cousin, he was in Spain. And he was walking around, he was on the beach in Spain, and he was just walking around the beach. He saw all this trash and litter, garbage lying around on the beach. And he thought, that's just not right. And he just started picking up, like almost like spontaneous, just started picking up the garbage because it's just like, shouldn't be there. And then when he started doing that, he saw other people started doing it. Amazing. And then he thought, you know, it was actually quite easy. It was kind of like, you know, sort of one person did it, then another person did it. And he thought, well, that's interesting actually. And he thought, well, it was any way you could actually kind of, let's say, promote this in a different way. And then he thought, well, maybe we could do something like with the app. You know, app is very popular and things. Yes. So he thought, well, why not? And then he contacted me, and I was in London, and I guess also I needed a change. And then I thought, yeah, let's do it. That sounds like a great idea. Let's just do it and see how it goes. And then we sat down trying to develop like what the specifications, you can say, because none of us are programmers, but we would just at least could specify what we would like from the app. And then we simply just took it from there, and gradually working with the programmer, did different versions. It's always an interesting kind of process, because you know, we're not quite sure when it's ready to really show to the world. But we realized that thing also, once we released it, it gives us some feedback, and then we can then always update and improve. So, but anyway, but the app is of course fundamentally to promote that people can, you know, track the litter they pick up, the trash, the garbage they pick up, in order for them, in a way, in this social media world, to kind of in a way to encourage other people to do the same. So if you kind of upload a screenshot of what you've been doing, that might say, okay, I was walking around this area, I picked up this seems to be the issues here, right? And so that's the core idea. And I guess also what we then did is, because we can see that the way people do this is via do it in groups. So they will then organize events where they go. So therefore we have this event function in the app as well. So you can then participate in events, and all the litter that will be picked up on this event will be collected in one big number. Really? And so we have also, and I like, and this is back to where I talked about that it was good to release it basically, and then we get the feedback from people, because one of the things that people said, like, okay, and that's what you realize, people have different focuses. So some people are very, very focused on cigarette butts, like cigarettes. Yes. And so they just collect, but when you collect cigarette butts, you collect thousands, right? And it's difficult to that, you know, you click on the icon so many times. So what we have done now is that when you just hold on to the icon, it comes like a field comes up, and you can then put in the number of cigarette butts you have collected, which is very helpful for those guys, instead of they have to push the icon like 1,000 times. And also what was a very key wish for a lot of people was to put in the weight, how much weight, how many kilos were the litter. So we have added that in the latest version. So now, yeah, we are actually, I think, in a good place. It's always a trade-off between not too many icons and not too few, because you need to be able to kind of identify the litter you picked up. But at the same time, it can't be like 2,000 either, because that's going to be too complicated. So we try to find a trade-off. And I can tell you, we have worked with, in Denmark, there's an organization called Plastic Change. Plastic Change is an organization that promotes or works with organizations to reduce the amount of plastic used in companies, basically. And it's also a lobby organization. They will use data to go out and talk to politicians, say, listen, we use too much plastic here, we use too much plastic here. So what they also engage in is in the World Cleanup Day. And the World Cleanup Day here is on the 19th of September. And they have then, and we have worked with them, so they're using our app now. So that's what they're using and asking their participants to use. Nice. And so the data they're collected through our app will then go to them, and then they can use that in their work with the organization and the lobbying effort. So we're quite excited about that, of course, that they're going to use that one. But again, that's because we work closely with them, because they had some comments about how you could find events and those kind of things. So so we are very excited about going to the 19th of September to see if we can get users to use it and get it more widespread. Because of course it is, you could argue that it is easier just to go and pick it up. But I think I think if people realize it has an impact, to demonstrate, to illustrate the difference they have made by through the app, for example. So it's very easy to share on social media. So we are very excited by the 19th of September, and I'll be out there collecting on behalf of them, and then probably set up an event, or I'll join an event and see how it goes.
It's amazing.
So at the moment it's purely like just my cousin and I will be doing it, really. A little bit a part of at the moment you can say it's a hobby project, really, and just because we think that's a good thing to do, and hopefully we can make a difference. I think that's what we're doing.
First of all, this is what I liked in your app, that you share it and you can show it to the world, that look what I did, and other people will want to join it. And actually I also uploaded a week ago a frame of from your app to my Facebook.
Yeah, good.
And many people got excited, because in Israel I sent you the video from yesterday of the nature resort with a lot of trash. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Common, unfortunately, in Israel, that people use single-use plastic, and they say that someone will keep it, will take it. I don't care. They just throw it, and you can see it in the beaches, in the forest, everywhere in Israel. So many.
That is sad to see, and I personally don't get it, really, because it's this idea that I think people should see those spaces as their own space, and it's like, would they do that at home? Probably not. I mean, they wouldn't just throw stuff around. And I think public space is private space, and that's it. Private space is public space. And I think that's important to get that kind of message out. I think part of why we're doing this with the app is, of course, to highlight these issues, right? It is, first of all, to say, okay, we have a problem. Let's try, in the first instance, really not to throw plastic around or waste the garbage around in the nature. But of course, if it's there, let's pick it up then.
Yeah.
Although I didn't throw the litter, it's still okay for me to pick it up and remove it. I think it's important to have that kind of, like in civil society, to have that, at least feel you have some responsibility for the common good. And I think that's partly why we're doing that. And I think we're trying to encourage that although I didn't throw it, I didn't do it, it's not my fault, but I can still be part of the solution, right?
Yes.
I think we can. I think that's partly what we try to achieve, like in a overall nice, I know, a little bit glorified objective, but then I think we want to try.
Wait a moment. Can we get
Zelia?
Yeah. She wants to touch the keyboard. Come.
Oh.
Come.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
No. Is that you have one daughter? You have more, or
one daughter.
Oh, dort, yeah. No. No.
So
No, so that's just some of the of course that we would like to that first we want people to stop throwing litter in nature. We want to then illustrate that there is a problem, and again by the sheer numbers, hopefully we can say, wow, that's a lot actually. Especially actually when you look at the number of cigarette butts that are out there. That's incredible. I mean, it's amazing, and I really, before my cousin who pointed out the cigarette butts is a problem, but it's a massive problem. I mean, it's a very toxic plastic they're using. It's very hard to get rid of. It takes hundreds of years for nature to sort it out itself. So, and there's so much of it.
I have a friend that is focusing on cleaning the butts, the cigarette butts from Israel, because also in the features people smoke, then just put the butts inside the sand or throw it. Actually, even in Finland, I traveled in Scandinavia years ago. I did a road trip. I was in Finland, Norway, and Sweden. Yeah. And we spoke with Finnish friends, and they were smoking, and they throw the cigarette on the floor instead of the bin. Even the bin was next to them. So
that I don't get. That I don't get. And I mean, I'm not a smoker myself, so I wouldn't really know, but I just see it everywhere. I mean, that's just sad. But again, but it's good to say that. But that's why we also in the app has focused on that. So made a special functionality on that particular kind of item, simply so we can be those people. There is simply a subgroup of litter pickers that are focused on that, and there is a lady in Denmark who is collecting all these, and she's only interested in that, and she will then make artwork out of the cigarette butts. Yeah. I mean, at least it gets to be used for something good, then but there's some people that just focus on that, and I can see the point in that. I can see the point there, right?
In Denmark, people throwing garbage in the nature?
They are. I mean, I guess you can argue then it depends. I mean, it probably worse in not as bad as in other countries. I mean, I live in London. That's not good, right? But yes, it's still there. It's you will see it on the streets. You will see it especially along the roads, and I heard, for example, I mean, again, for example, if you throw it along the roads, for example, and it comes into a field where you have cows, right? And then what will happen is sometimes the harvesters kind of sometimes will smash up the cans, for example. And then but probably not so much the cows, but probably more the deers, for example. They will eat the smashed up, kind of broken up can pieces, like metal pieces. They will eat them and they will die. And so and the same thing happens sometimes to the fields with the cows, stuff like that. So it's a problem. And again, I hadn't realized that until I talked to a farmer who had seen these cases. Right? It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible way of dying for these animals, because it simply rips up their stomach. Yes, yeah, exactly. So no, for sure, we have a problem. I think we are trying to, for example, on beaches in Denmark, they will have like big kind of boxes where you can then dump the stuff that you pick up on the beach, for example, which is quite good. But it's not always something that people are throwing. So, for example, a lot of the stuff that comes from the sea will land on the beaches, and then you have to collect that, right? Yeah. So although we may not always here in Denmark throw litter on the streets or on the beaches, it will still be there, right? But no, for sure, we are not, like, in any case not guilty of this. We have plenty of issues, I think. And the classic one is always, you can see the McDonald's stuff around. That's an issue, of course, and they are engaged. To be fair, we were actually in discussion with McDonald's. Just quickly, not that we actually work with them, but it's just to say that McDonald's, for example, they are engaged in these things. They are aware that there is a problem, and they are trying to address it as good as well as they can. But of course, it's not always up to them to control these things. But and we've been actually in contact. Maybe just meeting with different companies, organizations, right? I think and it's a good thing that the companies are gradually becoming aware to the problem that some of their products, although they're not throwing the stuff around, but still, as a consequence of their business model, then some of their litter will end up in nature. Yes. And so I think some companies are increasingly becoming aware. Like I think, but it's the whole society needs to be in on it. Otherwise, it's not going to be fixed. And I think we just hope that our app is like at least a small part to address the problem, to get closer to a cleaner society with less plastic and less garbage, less products lying around in nature, but it shouldn't be really. Because in Denmark, at least, I think it's fair to say that we have reasonably amount of bins. Where you can throw your garbage, but again, some people are just lazy, I guess, and then it ends up the wrong places.
Yes. People think that they can leave the bag next to the bin or something, but then the animal came and ripped the bag and eat.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We exactly, that is because that is what happens sometimes. Sometimes you see like, they're just throwing stuff around, but actually, as you say, it's actually a bird that sometimes have done it right. So you gotta put things down properly in the bin, exactly. So the animals don't take them, right.
It's the same issue like in Israel. If people collect it, they just leave it because they don't want to take it with them to the car, to normal bin. They just leave it when the cleaner will come and take it, and meanwhile the animal rip it.
And I think that's interesting to the cleaner will come and take, because this kind of, I think we need to get away from that. There are people in society that will clean the streets and do that, but I think we need to get away from that idea that they are necessarily responsible for everything. I think that's just wrong. I think we have a personal responsibility.
Exactly.
So first of all, don't leave it around on the streets or on the beaches. And then if you see it, pick it up. Just pick it up. Just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces a day. Imagine that. I mean, I don't know how many people live in Israel, but imagine they all did that. That's a lot. And it doesn't take a lot of time, right? I mean, if you just pick 5 pieces up a day, and if you, let's say in Israel there are, what do you, 6, 7 million people? Or
in Israel, 8 million.
8 million. So imagine that, right? It's just if we pick 5 pieces up a day, then it's 8. That's 40 million pieces a day. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a ton of garbage, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I know they're babies. I mean, Leah probably can't do it right now, but
actually, she I tell her to put something in the bin and she put it. So.
Okay. Okay, but she's particularly good then, I think. But just the principle of it, like that, if you all just picked up 5 pieces a day, that's it. Not that's it, but at least that will help a lot, right? And I think we'll create the awareness that we shouldn't throw it. Because I'm much more aware of these things now. I'm much more aware. That it hurts me almost when I see it, right? And I pick it up. I just pick it up. I don't care. I mean, I know people. I'm not particularly sensitive. I know people should probably wear gloves, and also in these days, I guess. But I'm not so sensitive about these things. I'm just gonna pick it up. Boom, take it, right? I think there's a thing that people need to overcome, which is, of course, this idea that you might look a little bit like a homeless kind of thing, right? I mean, you pick up stuff from the streets, but I think people just need to overcome that kind of little awkwardness about it, and just get going. And that's, I mean, in Denmark, we have a recycling scheme, meaning that, so if I buy a can from the shop, or I buy a plastic, water bottle from the shop, or buy a glass, Coca-Cola, you pay, let's say, something on top of that. So when you return, you get the money back. That's why there's people will handle all this because it's money, basically.
Yeah, we have it, but it's it's only on the small bottles. And on the glass bottles, it's like quarter of shekel. It's like, I don't know how much is in euro, for example. It's like
no. But what is it in a dollar? What's a dollar shekel?
I will check it. Like quarter of a shekel. It's, where's the coin?
So it used to be only because we didn't have cans in Denmark when I was a child. It only came later on, and the argument was exactly that. Actually, we didn't have a recycling. At the time, you couldn't recycle cans, so they said, well, then you can't have cans. If you can't recycle cans, you can't be part of the system. You can't have it. But then eventually they developed a system. So the technology, I guess, and then you could do that. And then they allowed cans. So like cans we have had, I guess, I say for the last, I think, 20, 25 years now. So, but just to say that it's so what we have allowed has been based on what we could actually come in and be part of this recycling scheme. And if we couldn't, well, we couldn't have it. So but in terms of in terms of plastic bottles and cans, that helps a lot because it really is. If some people will, for example, with festivals, they'll make a fortune collecting bottles and cans and so things like that. And it's a big thing for kids, especially just to pick up because it's good pocket money. No, part of that. So yes, so the app is, I think, is that I think we are reasonably happy where it is now. It seems to be working quite well. It's very smooth, and so now we just hope that people will use it and spread the word and get it out there. So if and it can be used anywhere, right? It's not. It is an English and a Danish version because that's where we're based. But there's no doubt that eventually we will bring other language versions of it. So now I'm having my little dog coming here. So sitting here. Yeah. So that's where we are. And now we just it's just the promotional phase and getting people to use it and try to see the point of it. Although it might be easier not to use it, but then we hope that the value, not only to them but also to others, will be that they will use it. So that's really where we are.
Yeah. I'm going to spread this app in Israel for sure.
That's good.
Actually, I also did it.
Yeah, I know. That's very good. That's very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you deserve it because it's really good app. You make cleaning to something cool and something that everyone will want to join it.
Yeah. And again, you can organize events. You could do private events, public events. Again, if you want to just do with your friends rather than have like all, you just want to with people that you can do that. Or you can do public events. You can where you can invite everyone.
You also have ranking, right?
What's that? Sorry.
Ranking. I saw that you also.
A ranking as well. There's a ranking exactly. So you can see who's, and that's just a little bit for the fun of it, right? To see who has taken the most steps, who has picked up the most, those kind of things. And that's just to again, inspire people, motivate people to see you can probably always do more. And that's just, it shouldn't really be about competition, I think. But it's just one so you can see that other people are doing it and how they are doing it. And then you can chat with people if you want to do that. And you could do chat with people in the events. So you can like update people on what's going on. It's just if there are some details you need to know, like, remember to bring gloves, remember to bring plastic bags or whatever you might want to say. You can write a whole description in the description field when it comes to the event. And of course, the event organizer can then, after the event, put in the number of kilos they have collected together. Amazing. So there are many actually details. And I think some of them, of course, people have to find out why they're using it. I think one of the more tricky ones to find is the one about the cigarette box. So of course, that's we're going to promote, that you've got to have to push the icon for that field to come up. Because it's maybe not straightforward, obvious, but that's what we just simply have to tell people that's the way it works. And of course, we are new to this game of developing apps, so it's a learning process. It's not perfect, but we think it works now, and there will be smaller changes coming along, and we love to get feedback from people that are using it, because that again we have the weight came in, we've done the cigarette butts for sure, and then the sanitary product came in from someone in a user in Singapore, of all places, who thought we have a big problem there with sanitary products.
Sanitary, it's like the masks and...
more diapers, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. People leave that kind of stuff on, just, throw them on the, streets or beaches, wherever. That's not something we see here in Denmark for sure. And I'm sure you don't see that much in Israel either, right?
Yes.
So it's just one of those things that seems to be, okay, that's a big problem. Okay, fair enough, we're gonna enter it. But it will also, of course, you can say cover the baskets and those kind of things, because we need to group the items a little bit. But I think the user in Singapore, he was quite happy about that we included that, but because it's just a big problem out there.
Wow. I thought in Singapore they are very, strict. If someone throw a gum in the street, you go to jail. This is what I heard.
No, I think they're quite strict with things, but they seem to have there's some issues as well, apparently. So yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I had an amazing time to chat with you, and of course I'm going to spread about the app. And
yes, please do. It was great to talk to you, Bar. Very good to finally meet you.
Yes.
And Leah too. Very nice to meet her as well.